Here we are. We're back after a week off for Joel to have some nice rest. Not Joel. Joel. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. If you're watching this, you'll get that one. Thanks for listening and watching to this edition of ShrimpNet, the podcast of the Shrimps Trust. This week we have, as always, a representative from the board in full kit with his usual enthusiasm, hot desking. In fact, he doesn't like sitting down. I think he might have piles, actually. It's James Wakefield. Welcome along, James.
Nice to see you, Freeze.
And our man from the dressing room this week is the fast-rating, overlapping fullback, fresh from another last gasp winner, and as I've said previously, on one of the finest pylons seen at Prenton Park for some years. It's Joel Senior. Joel, first time for you here. Thank you very much for doing this. Has anybody in the dressing room told you what to expect?
Not really, no, to be honest. I think I remember a couple of lads towards the start of the season telling me that they was doing it, but to be honest, I forgot to ask them how it went. But yeah, I've been told. I was with a few of the lads this morning and asked if they've done it, and they said it's all good, it's all very welcoming, and there's some good questions, so I look forward to it.
Yeah. We like to keep it light. So anyway, where do we start? Well, I'm going to start with last Saturday's game against the Sutton Globetrotters. When he came out at the start, I was like, oh my God, look at the size of these. They're bigger than bloody Colchester. Scored early, and it worked for us, that one, really, because it was a war of attrition. Joel Jr., I shall call you.
Yeah, this might have been a certain age older than Joel Senior that I'm not going to let on the podcast, but no, yeah, it was a really good performance. I think we've had that really bright start. Obviously, Joel's been really involved with the goal. It's a really good move between him and Charlie Brown down the right, and good bit of movement from Jed in the box. It's good to see Jed Garner, especially after the penalty miss against Colchester, getting amongst the goals, but not just getting amongst the goals, getting into areas, because it was a good bit of movement. His first goal against Crawley, that was coming in at the front post as well. So at the end of the day, you want your striker to be getting into good positions, because a few chances might go by the wayside, but the more they get into good positions, the more chances you'll get and the more goals you'll get. So it's what you want to see. I thought Sutton were. I thought first off, particularly, I thought they pressed really well. They made it quite difficult for us to play. And you got to say fair credit to them for that. They made it really difficult for us. They turned the ball over quite a lot, and they had a little bit of joy from that, but probably didn't quite have the quality to maybe turn that into any real kind of tangible. Yeah, to turn that into real tangible chances. And I thought, just as the game went on, and especially in the second half, as they're pushing more people forwards, trying a few different things, space is going to open up in the break, and we probably should have had a second, maybe even third goal in the second half. Obviously, we've had one ruled out offside because, it looked a very tight call. I don't think you can give too much grief to the liner over that one, because it did look very marginal. So it was just frustrating.
Maybe.
Yeah, some go for you, some don't. But and then obviously right at the death, I'm not quite sure how Joel's managed to make up the ground that quickly. But the one he's obviously squared to Garner, and I think he's tried to roll it across, and it's maybe like bobbled up, and he's not quite caught it or something like that. But yeah, that's not going in. But at the end of the day, you look at the numbers behind the game as well. I thought we thoroughly deserved the win. I did think Sutton shot themselves in the foot actually a little bit in that second half with the substitutes they made. They put the big lad, Harry Smith, up top, who is fantastic at holding the ball up and winning stuff in the air. But I thought it kind of took away Sutton's biggest threat against us, which was the fact that they could press us high and had a lot of energy, and we're getting in our faces. Obviously, Harry Smith is very good at holding the ball up and being a target man, but I don't think he offers quite the same amount of energy and running. So that kind of maybe played in our favour a bit. But ultimately, we showed a lot of quality, and I thought most times we got into their half, we were looking pretty dangerous, and I thought we were well worth the 3 points.
And James, as I alluded to at the start, when the Sutton Globetrotters were coming out, I was like, oh God, no Faz. On a day like then, when we needed Faz, who's like, his bread and butter is, oh, I could have this all day, and he wasn't there, but we dealt with him pretty well. But the first half was fairly even. They did win the ball back a lot, but didn't really create much, and that frustrated us. But the second half, we did push on. And I'm going to obviously, I'll ask Joel about that when we come to it, but a better second half performance, and really a more fitting scoreline was 2 or 3-0. But it was always one of them games where you just thought they might have something in them, in right through the 90, didn't you?
Yeah, I think maybe you're right. I mean, they weren't just massive, but they won 3/4 of the aerial duels in the game, and we were obviously missing 5. It may not have been that bad, but they did. They won 75% of the aerial duels in the game. I think maybe they were slightly flattered by that and the possession and the passing, just because they didn't actually create very much. And as Joel says, in fact, I think every week now you should put Joel last, because he says he does such a good review of each game. There's nothing less for anybody else to say. But yeah, we created chances. That's what the game's all about. And it could have been 2 or 3-0, and it doesn't really matter, does it? You come away with 3 points and you're happy. I thought Joel Senior had a very good game again, and I think the trouble we're causing down the flanks now, both with Joel and David, is becoming a real thing for opposition. I imagine the analysts are really watching that now, because the last few games, that the amount of times we're putting out wide, and either Joel or David are there. But no, it was good. Could have been 2 or 3-0. They were really good in the air.
So I'll come to you now, Joel Senior, not Junior. Was there a change of plan from Jed at half time, or did you just say move it quicker and get it in there half quicker? What was it?
No, I think it was just about being patient. Obviously, I thought we started the game really well. Obviously, me and Charlie linked up quite well early on in the game, and then I don't think I saw the ball as much towards the latter stages of the first half. And then the gaffer just said, keep being patient, just you'll get the ball. And I felt like the second half that they obviously need the points with where they are on the table, and we just had to be patient. And then when we won the ball back or landed on the seconds, that space was there. And obviously the 2 substitutes as well that came on, who freshened up, Slew and Guion, I thought were very, very effective in the game, and they helped us a lot, which I thought kind of like took the game in our favour a lot more than it was, because it was kind of, we was winning and we was probably the better team, but it was kind of in the balance. And obviously when we made the substitutions, that I thought they helped massively, and me and Guion linked up well. Slew did really well when he came on, and I thought that was probably a thing, that because they started the second half well, when the gaffer made the changes, I thought the game flipped on its head again, back in our favour. Yeah,
it's a fair point you make there, because Jordan comes on and he's a completely different. Julian Larson had a quiet game, but he is quite slight, and he's obviously a great footballer. But Slewy comes on and he's a completely different ball game, isn't he? He's all muscle and power, and he got amongst them. And Guion came on. He's got such quick feet, and I know you've picked up a great relationship with him on the right hand side already. But I want to come back to what you said there earlier, because the first sort of 10 minutes, you set the goal up. You and Charlie did well on the right, and then I think we managed to manufacture Charlie one-on-one as well, and the keeper made a save there. And I thought, well, you know, we're raiding down the right, and I think it's a fair point you make that they did work very well in shutting you down there, didn't they?
Yeah, well, maybe it was there tactically that their wing back started. I think he was pushing a bit higher once we started after the first 15 minutes, just probably maybe stop us getting the ball as much, because we was creating a bit of an overload on that side, and then probably just not getting the ball as much, because they always wanted it to be a scrappy game where it was about competing, and we're not the biggest side, and compared to them especially, so it was just about being patient, and that's what I felt that we did in the second half a lot better, because I felt like if me and Charlie got on the ball a lot more and higher up the pitch, we would have caused them more problems. But I felt we found it quite hard with how the game was to find us in them spaces.
But 3 points hard earned. We went on to Prenton Park on Tuesday night. Tranmere was quite a happy hunting ground the last time we went there in the playoffs, and beaten there 2-1, which was a lovely feeling. But it was always going to be a difficult game. Bizarrely, an awful start, Joel, an absolutely terrible start, and yet possibly right up there with one of our best performances of the season, from what I could see after that.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Really, I think the thing that Tranmere have an abundance of is pace up front. Obviously, they've got Rob Apter and they've got Harvey Saunders, and they're both super quick players, and they've got a bit of quality around it as well. So yeah, we just we just didn't defend it very well in those first kind of 10 minutes, and they very much punished us. But that was despite even the first 10 minutes playing good football on the ball, but just obviously not quite watching out enough for the threat that they and not quite dealing well enough with the threat that they posed. You know, with the long balls over the top and the balls in behind and the pace that they had. But you know, fair play. Like it almost in quite a weird way, it reminded me of when we lost to Grimsby. Because I remember we went up within like a minute or two in that game, and I thought Grimsby did really, really well not to kind of shake from their game plan. They just stuck at the game plan, and eventually their game plan worked. They obviously had a tactic and how they wanted to deal with us. It was being quite physical and everything, and it worked well against us. And they didn't let that early setback that we gave them set them back. And obviously, the game that we were trying to play on and successfully played on Tuesday was quite a lot different to what Grimsby were trying to play against us. It was much more on the deck and a lot of positional kind of like rotations and everything, and not really nice passing. But we didn't let that setback kind of throw us off our stride too much, which was really good to see. And yeah, I think we thoroughly deserve the win. I think you're looking at most comments from Tranmere people, and they're saying the same thing as well. Some of the passing and movement was really, really nice. Just, I just, yeah, just it's really interesting to watch the way that all the players are kind of moving into different positions. You had Titonda, sometimes he'd be coming almost into a central midfield position, and then so obviously other times he'd be bombing down the left flank. I remember Kambeni, he was often kind of sometimes he's on that deep midfield role, then pushing a bit further up, then almost sometimes kind of deputising on the wing, switching with Tutonda sometimes. It was really, really cool to see what everybody's doing, and obviously Jake Taylor in that kind of quarterbacky kind of role. That's really nice to see as well.
He suits that. He's always
really,
suited that as Jake.
He really does
it's the
suit
best
it.
position for me.
It's really nice to see him settling into that role, and it's obviously that something that partly through maybe people like Eli King going back to Cardiff and up to Ross County, and it's kind of opened that spot up for him, and he's done really well in it. So it's really positive to see. Lots of really good football played. Again, effective subs bringing on Guion and Sluey. You know, I thought they actually had more of a noticeable effect against Sutton at the weekend. I thought Slew did terrible things to their right back. Again, for Sutton's right back, it was a bit of a humbling for him, I thought. But then, Slew carried on the tradition of scoring with your somewhere in the midriff area away at Tranmere, carrying that on from the playoff campaign, and then free kick to win it right at the death. And I think probably worth just saying before Slewey's goal, obviously, really great work from Joel down the right, getting that cross in, and then before the free kick to win it, it was a fantastic touch by Guion in the middle of the park. It's an incredible first touch, and obviously he's gone round a few people, and he's probably about to play Jed Garner through 1-on-1. So, you know, we threatened the whole game. We looked really good. We looked a really good passing, accomplished football side, and created a lot of chances. And we won it in dramatic fashion, but we probably deserved to win it a little bit more comfortably. But you know, it's nice having those dramatic wins. It's obviously better than the comfortable wins, even if it is a bit more filled with jeopardy in it. Yeah, and it gives you a bit more anxiety. But yeah, well deserved. And yeah, what a way to win a game. Just a ridiculous free kick that I was obviously telling him don't shoot when I was sat there watching it on iPhone.
I like Jed's interview afterwards when he said we were all on the bench going, well, he's not going to hit it. He's obviously going to dink it in. Oh my God!
Well, maybe it was all in the dummy run from Joel.
I think he said that was. Obviously, you supplied the cross for Sluey, so you must have quite a few assists this season, and I'd class that dummy run as an assist as well, Joel, don't you?
I'll take it. If that's what they're giving him out for, then I'll be on a few more than just what I'm on now.
One of the things that did occur to me while I was watching it was that the pitch was in very good condition, James, and I think that helped us with the. And I do say this now, the pass and move was absolutely fantastic the other night. It's like we've played some good stuff this season, but we were very, very easy on the eye, and it was nice to watch.
It really was, as Joel said. The Tranmere fans noticed it. I thought you're right. The pitch was in good nick. They were good hosts, and they seemed like good sports as well in terms of the comments after the game. I almost feel like I'm trying to say this in the right way so I don't get pilloried for it, but like the team, Joel, you are part of that Jed's managing. Given all the changes and given the budgetary differences in the league, and given the manager going and all of these different things, we're playing remarkably well at the moment. The last few games, it's been really impressive. Like, nobody can watch the games now and not say, yeah, Morecambe deserved to win that, and look like there was an extra gear. And I thought the performance the other night, it reminded me of the comeback against Doncaster back in January 22. Yeah. Not because of the score change, because we were three down in that and 1-4 defeat, but more because of the body language. When we went 2 down, there wasn't a single head that dropped. You could look around. Everybody's like looking to get on the ball. Everybody's looking to get forwards. When Charlie Brown scored that goal, it was like the whole team was right back to the halfway line. It wasn't like we scored a goal. Well, that's good. Let's get in at half time. It's like, right, let's get back on. And it is. I think people are beginning to notice it. Like, certainly some of the pundits who follow League Two and League One more closely, they're just noticing the spirit and the heart that is in the team and also in the fans. And yeah, there's something quite exciting happening, and it comes about because people don't give up, and it comes about because you can see it in the body language of the players. I remember when we scored the first back against Doncaster, and the whole team was back in the half. It's ridiculous. It's 3-1 at that point. It was exactly the same the other night. No business to be that confident. But Jed said it after the game. He said he was watching it. He was like, I knew we were going to win. And you know what? The body language said that. It did suggest that, which is amazing.
Well, you're right, actually, because if you look at if you watch the Jordan Slew goal back from Joel's cross,
he almost trips over the ball trying to get it back to the halfway.
Yeah, I know. He went thinking, it's like, get the ball, let's go back. It's 2 apiece, let's get another. So you're right. Yeah, I hadn't really clocked that, but you're absolutely right.
It's a wonderful thing. If we that spirit, that heart, I mean, that could carry us an awful long way. That really could. So it's just really exciting to see. And no, I'm just a fan when I watch a game like that. And it's just wonderful to see it when there's that level of spirit on show. It's just exciting.
So, Joel, we've now got a punch on for the late goals. Obviously, you started this trend at Sutton back in October. When it's fantastic on the highlight video, you can hear somebody shout "shoot," and you did, and it went in, which was and that was a great pylon. But obviously there was a late Jed Garner goal at Crawley. There was a really late Charlie Brown goal at MK Dons, and then obviously, where the hell did that free kick come from Jacob Davenport? Did anybody expect him to do that? Oh, do you know what? I think I'm 30 yards out. I think I'll kill this in top bins. Yeah, go on then, mate. Yeah, crack on. Unbelievable goal. That must have been a fantastic game to play in, mate.
Yeah, it was, and obviously there's no better way to win games of football, obviously, than scoring last minute. And it's a funny one because me and Jacob went to primary school together, went to high school together, so I've known him since I was a little kid. But he is an unbelievable footballer, especially technically. So I kind of do have faith in him. It was me and him over the ball, but I knew that he was the one who was going to take it, especially on his left foot there. And he scored free kicks before in his career, so I actually did have a bit of confidence in him, even though it was from that far out.
Yeah, it was some hit, but like I say, we need to discuss the pylon now because subs were running on. Jed got booked, even though he didn't run on, but other people who ran on didn't get booked. Work that one out.
I know. I've seen the video from higher up, and it's funny. All the staff obviously like sprinting on, aren't they? Then they realise that they need to probably stop where they are, and then the subs all come down. Just shows what good team spirit we have. We have a really good dressing room, and I think that's half the battle in football. If you have obviously you need good players, but if you have a group that bonds well, where there's no egos and everyone's in it for the same thing where we're just pushing each other every day. And we've built that over the season. I know a few have gone and a few have come in, but the lads who've come in have bought into that same philosophy. And we do have a really good group, and I feel like that can take you a long way in football, and it's serving us well at the minute.
So looking at that, with obviously Jed's come in at what was a difficult time. And obviously all the low knees going back, who served us brilliantly. Every single one did some kind of job, even down to Ethan getting the equaliser against Swindon. But they all had a fantastic impact. I look at the late goals that I keep mentioning, and we've got to be quite fit, because we're always pushing. We scored. I mean, if you look at it, we scored in the last minute against Walsall at home, first game of the season. So like, we've got a punch off for scoring late goals. So you lads, you've got to keep going for 96, 97 minutes, or in some cases 114 minutes when they're adding that much on. So you must be, the team spirit is good, but also your fitness has got to be good as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, as professional athletes, we have to be fit, but obviously with the training that we do and what we put into it, obviously shows that it's paying off towards the last like 10, 15 minutes in games where we're pushing for equalisers or winners, because in this league, the game's never done us when you're 1 or 2 down. Any switch, any little goal, even if you're 2 down, the momentum changes massively, especially in football and in this league. If you get a goal, teams' heads can drop. And obviously, when we've scored the first, or like on Tuesday when we scored the equaliser, we only believe we're going to win that game, and that's all we had in our minds. So yeah, obviously we are fit. We do a lot of fitness and work on that in training, and it pays off as it's shown recently.
And just a quick mention here that I was doing some research on this, and Rob Apter is actually Jed Brannan's godson. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to be chuffed with that then, wouldn't he? Opening goal, and he takes it, and I'm like, oh, blinking heck. But that's just so Jed got the laugh, so I'm happy with that. There's no problem. So moving on, we've got Wimbledon away at the New Plough Lane, or whatever they call it, which is a lovely little ground, and then we've got Walsall away Tuesday night. Joel, from your point of view, 3 away games in a week, it's a big ask. But we'll still have a bit of a bounce from Tuesday night. Wimbledon lost at Accrington, so they'll be trying to get revenge on somebody else from the northwest. We got last time we played them, we got a 0-0 there, and it was a bit of a scrappy game. But looking at them, obviously they've got a few players that we're familiar with. Harry Pelly's one, but they're pretty much like us. They've sold one of their best attacking players for quite a bit of money, who's opened his account for Ipswich, so they might be a bit goal shy, hopefully, Joel.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, they've got plenty of other threats. I remember being impressed by quite a couple of their players. I think Ali Al-Hamdi, he was, in terms of opposition players I've seen the scope against, I think he was probably up there with pretty much the best in the division I've seen this season. So it's going to be a blow losing him, but they've got some of the players like Tilly and stuff who are they're cracking players at this level and are producing the goods this season. So yeah, there'll be a challenge, and I think they're in decent form at the moment, barring the Accrington defeat, and they're pushing the playoffs. Their underlying numbers look pretty decent. It's going to be a tough game, but I think with the football that we've kind of played over the last few games, I think Jed in sometime in winter or when he was appointed, I think he said, be patient, and we'll start to see what kind of comes to fruition, really. And we're really seeing it now. We're second in the form table over the last 5 games. We've had 3 wins on the bounce. I'd say those 3 wins were all, absolutely deserved. Looking at look at the underlying numbers from it, but also just eye test. You come away thinking, yeah, we really deserve that win. And also maybe even thinking like we maybe should have won them by more. So it's a really positive sign at the moment, and yeah, there's no reason why we can't go into most games with quite a lot with a lot of confidence, and I think we'll be able to do that against Wimbledon. They're a decent side, but we've shown that we're well up. With our performances of late, I think we're more than a match for anybody really.
And James, the Wimbledon home game, They came at us and played some fantastic football. It was a really, really open game. We ran out 4-1 winners because I think they had a bit of about 10-minute skits after half time where we scored twice and then got a penalty. And one of them was a penalty. We ended up 3-1, and then they had another 20-minute spell where they really had a go at us, and we survived. And then we nicked one about 10 minutes for the end to seal it. So it was a great win, but they were certainly value for money that day, Wimbledon. They really kept and give it a go. So with sort of 7,000 fans at home, they're going to be really backing them, aren't they?
Yeah, they will. And you're right, they were excellent against us. That was one of those days where we did rather better than the underlying numbers suggested we should, and they didn't. And you come away with a 4-1 score, but actually they played really, really well. And they didn't let their heads drop. They played with the same sort of spirit we were talking about earlier. So yeah, they're a good side, and it's they're in a similar place in the league to us, and it's a ground that's gathering momentum and a fan base that's growing. So it should be a really good game. Looking forward to
it. And Joel, just to go back to what Joel Senior Junior actually touched on then. Is there anything? I mean, I'm talking about the Wimbledon game. Do we set up differently for each individual team, or are we just happy to try and put our imprint on the game in the same way?
Yeah, like we'll always go into each game doing the analysis on them to know what they're like as a team, what their threats are, what the weaknesses are, like all teams. We'll do that in meetings the day before the game, and obviously we'll work on what their strengths are and how we think we can help ourselves in the game, and what we want to do to score goals and hurt them in our attacking areas. So yeah, we'll analyse them, but then obviously it's about us. That's the mentality we've got to have. We can't be going there thinking, oh, they're good at this, they're good at that. We've got to realise that we're a good team ourselves. Got to put our own imprint on the game, like you say, and go there full of confidence and start the game well. Like you say, if you start games well, we didn't the other night, but you build momentum in the game, and that's massive, especially in away games.
Yeah, and I come back to it, and it doesn't seem to be stopping us at the moment, because obviously MK Dons, we went down after 2 minutes, and then 2-0 down at Tranmere, and we won both of those there in the last month. So it's a strange one. But looking at Walsall Tuesday night, again, first game of the season. It's a long, long time ago. I think the squads have changed quite considerably with both teams there, Joel. But I seem to have been saying just on every podcast since Christmas, if we win our game in hand, and we never seem to get to the point where we're winning that game in hand and put ourselves in that position. But obviously Tuesday night at Walsall will be that game in hand, depending on what's happened at Wimbledon. And we might be actually finally say, well, let's got that out of the bloody way, and we'll be on 32 like everybody else. So it is quite an important game, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's been lurking around since before Christmas, really, that game in hand, with all the kind of the way that the fixtures have fallen and all the rearrangements have gone. So yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good to finally get that out of the way. The old cliche goes that, you'd rather have points on the board than extra games in hand. So hopefully we can get those points on the board. But at Walsall, they've just looking at them this season, they're seeing quite mid-table this season, really. Although they do look quite defensively sound, and when, like you say, it's hard to judge them on the team we faced at the start of the season, because there's been a lot of change since then, and things developed in a different way. But again, it's just one of those where, like Joel says, we'll do the analysis in the team and figure out where we can hurt them and what we've got to defend against with them. But we've got a style of play that's really coming together really nicely, and I'm sure we'll be able to, at the very least, do them a good bit of damage on Tuesday night. So yeah, I think we had a really tough run of games over kind of December, and now it's looking a little bit lighter, maybe barring Crewe away. And Stockport away, obviously, towards the end of the season, but it is looking a little bit lighter now, and that's obviously no disrespect to the teams we come up against, but the more mid-table teams rather than some of the top teams in the league we played over December. So it's nice to see us kind of go out in these last few games and hopefully go into the next week and kind of really imprint what and stamp what kind of football we want to play and really take it to the opposition. I'm sure we'll do that. Just keep doing that on Tuesday night. We've got a good away record so far on the Jed, so no reason it can't continue then as well.
And James, the other point I keep making is that we've had 2 away games, which the Wrexham and the Notts County games that have kind of wrecked our goal difference. And we were happy neck of winning by 1 goal at the moment, which is great. But and I'll keep taking that. I'll keep taking what 1-0 every week, 2-1 every week. That's it. But looking at games like Walsall, who Joel said it's mid-table, if we can just get that win and finally push ourselves into the. I mean, we've been saying it all season. We're happy to stay below the radar. And I'm still happy to stay below the radar. And if we manage to sneak into the playoffs last game of the season, then all well and good. But I'd still like to be in a better position that I mean, I'm sick of being top of the bottom half. And at the moment, we're 11th. And I'm like, ooh, And I may remind, most listeners will know anyway, that myself and Joel actually said we'd be happy with 12th. So why am I moaning when we're 11th? But it will be nice to get that game out of the way. James.
Yeah, it will, and it's great that we're talking about going away to a team that's mid-table, and it's a sizable, sensible, well-run club, and we're talking about how nice it would be to win again and maintain the form. There's no fear anymore in anything that anybody's saying, which is really good. And in all seriousness, playoffs would be great. But I imagine that Tuthers, Joel here and his teammates are thinking it'd be nicer to do even better than playoffs, eh, Joel?
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad. I'd like to beat what I did last season and do what it was, but obviously we've just got to take one game at a time at the minute. Obviously, we can't start looking. If we're looking at that, then we're doing something wrong, I think, because if you start getting ahead of yourself, then it can catch you up, and that's the last thing we want as a team, and especially individually. If you look ahead, then the 2 games. Say you're looking into the 3rd game where you think, we could pick up 7 or 9 points, and then you pick up no points. Then you're looking over your shoulder again, which is just not what we want. We want to take one game at a time, which I know is a cliche, but I think it's the best mentality to have in a situation like this.
Yeah, it's the right mentality to have, and there's no need to change the way that the people are approaching games, the way that people are walking out on the pitch, the confidence levels. It's what I said before. It's just a really nice thing to see people bouncing onto a football pitch and not letting their heads drop when things go the wrong way. So let's get another away win. I mean, another away win will make our away form just ridiculous, given that the losses we've had have been against teams like Swansea and Stockport and Wrexham, which are spending a lot more money than we are. So let's hope for another win on Tuesday night.
God, we're a bargain. So we'll come to you now, Joel. Obviously, you started it. You had quite a few years at Oldham, didn't you? But you didn't get picked up there. So then I noticed there was a FC United of Manchester where you had a good few games there. Got the chance at Burnley. That didn't quite work out with under 23s. Then Altrincham, and then he got picked up by Carlisle. How did that happen?
The Carlisle move, or just the whole thing?
Yeah, the whole thing. Just talk me through it.
Oh yeah, so when I got signed for Oldham when I was around 7, I think. Was there for about 8 years, and then released when I was 15, I want to say, because I was too small. And it was funny because I was doing really well throughout the age groups, and then Paul Dickoff was the first team manager at the time, and he said release all the small players in your academy. From what I remember, so I got released for that. I didn't have my growth spurt till I was like 17, 18. So
Dickoff was only lit. Dickoff was only lit.
That's all I remember from my time at Oldham when I was like 15, being told that I was too small. It wasn't anything to do with my ability, but that was that. And then when I hit 16, my dad just told me to go and play men's football, and I ended up playing where my brothers used to play in the northwest counties at like 16 for a team called Main Road, and I played quite a lot of games, like 60 games when I was like 16, 17, and then went to FC United in the, I think it was National League North at the time. Did really well there, to be fair. I think I was 18. I won all the awards in the first season, and then got my move to Burnley. Like you say, it didn't really work out through one thing or another. I had little niggles and stuff throughout my time there, and COVID hit that year, so it was a bit of a mess everywhere. And my aim was just to go and get games, professional games. So I went to Altrincham and did really well there as well. Played like 60, 70 games for them over like an 18-month period. I won quite a lot of awards there my first season. And then signed for Carlisle, which was my first chance in the EFL. And then 4 games in, I did my ACL. So that was a bit of a nightmare. I was out for a year. Ended up coming back fit last Jan. And it took me quite a while to get going there after my injury, because obviously I'd been out for so long. It took me time to get my confidence back, stuff like that. And then I played probably 16, 17 games towards the back end of the season. I was kind of in and out. I started quite a few, but then I'd be out of it for a bit. I just couldn't really get going in the season. I don't know if it was through confidence. It was in my head just because of the injury that I'd had. And obviously, when you come back from an injury like that, it does take a long time to get back match fit and fully sharp to your normal self. And I don't think I really got that until this season, when I had a proper pre-season under my belt. But towards the last game, obviously the playoff semi-finals and the final, I felt like I showed my ability in them games and did really well, and we got promoted, which was an unbelievable day.
So how disappointed were you when they said that they weren't going to renew your contract? Because obviously you've been part of the promotion squad, like you say, playing 16, 17 games.
Well, yeah, it wasn't really a shock, to be honest. When I got back fit in the Jan, I played quite a bit, but like I was also out quite a bit because the gaffer was saying that he needed me fitter and stuff, and it just wasn't really possible with the amount of games we had, like, to work on my fitness. And then when it come to it, I kind of knew that I was leaving in the summer anyway, and I just thought this is my opportunity to show basically how good I am and how good I can be in the playoff games. In the final, I got my opportunity to start in all the games, and I felt I played a big part in them games to help Carlisle get promoted. So that was something that I was really happy with. And when I kind of knew that I was leaving anyway. So it wasn't like a big shock or like that moment where I was upset or anything like that. It was just kind of onto the new challenge. I wanted to go somewhere where I'm going to be playing games, enjoying my football, and I can be playing like fully fit, because I knew once I had a full pre-season, I'd be able to show my ability and show how good I am, rather than being thrown in. I was kind of thrown at the deep end because I came back from a year out, hardly playing any like reserve games to get me into match fit. I was kind of just thrown in. I had to get back fit, which is just normal in football. But I feel like I'm showing that this year that I can. I'd still say I'm not fully playing at my best, but I'm certainly getting there, and I feel like I can show even more.
Well, it's funny because obviously the day that you signed, it was announced, the Morecambe FC Facebook page announced it, and a couple of Carlisle fans came on straight away and said he'll do, because obviously they were quite happy because they got promoted. They were like, they both said you've got a good one there. Yeah. He's absolutely brilliant going forward, and if he can keep fit, you've got a good player. And you've been really, really fortunate this season because you've had that run of games. And now, particularly since sort of like November, he scored that goal at Sutton, and you've been flying since. And like I say, since we signed Guion and Charlie's been getting a game, you've built up some very, very quickly, built up a good relationship with them two people on the right-hand side, haven't you?
Yeah, well, like you said, they're both really good players. I feel like, obviously, at the start when Derek was in charge, I was playing left back, and then he moved me to right back. I think I played about 6 or 7 games at left back, which obviously is it's an unnatural position to me, but I can play there and I'll do a job that I do still enjoy it. But obviously my natural position is right back. And I think since I've been there, I've been good. But like I say, I think recently I've built connections with Charlie, Guion. They're good players. I feel like they're players I can. Well, when I was playing with Blocko, he's very similar to me. He wants to get down the line and cross it, obviously.
Down the line,
so we might not have complemented each other too well, but we were both still playing good football, but maybe it didn't work as well. Now with Chaz coming inside or Guion likes to pick up pockets inside, I can happily get around him and show more of my ability going forward.
And that's where all the assists are coming in, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one thing that I do try and get as many as obviously the more good crosses you put in and the assists that I'm getting obviously help us win games, and that's my aim to try and help the team win as many games as possible, offensively and defensively.
So, from your point of view, when Morecambe came in for you, it was an easy decision because obviously you were still northwest based. Were you expecting big things of coming here when Derek said, we're building a team and hopefully we're gonna be challenging?
Yeah, well, I had quite a few offers to be fair in the league, and it was about picking the right one. I felt like when me and Derek had the conversation, I said I don't just want to be in this league for numbers. I knew that obviously he had to sign quite a few players, but there was also a core group who played in League One last year who nearly stayed up, so that they're clearly good players. You know what I mean? It's not like the players who were right at the bottom, their confidence is completely not because they weren't winning any games. Like it was a close call last year, and I just said I don't want to be here picking up the numbers. I want to do the same what I did last year, get promoted, and that was always my aim. So yeah, it was an easy decision when he like showed me his plans for the club and what he saw, where he saw me playing, how he saw me playing, how confident he was in me to show my ability at this level. So it was quite an easy decision, yeah, with all the faith that he put in me and what he said he wanted for the ambitions of the club.
And obviously we've got a lot to thank Derek for because obviously he got promoted during COVID and he did a fantastic job in assembling the squad. As we've already spoken about, it's always a risk with low knees. But from your point of view now, Jed's taken over. Is it a different atmosphere in the dressing room? Is he more approachable? Is he more light-hearted? I mean, you're saying you've got a good dressing room and there's a lot of laughter and everything. You seem to be enjoying your football under Jed.
Yeah, I am. To be fair, I can't knock Derek as well. I was enjoying my football on both times under the old gaffer and the new gaffer now. They both showed their confidence in me by playing me week in, week out, which I can only thank them for. But yeah, the different type of managers. Derek's more of a reserve manager, and Jed's probably more, like say, open. But they're both really good managers in different ways, I'd say. And like you say, we've had a core group of players that have been in, that have helped the loan lads. And then when the loan lads have come back, then the new lads have come in. We've got a core group who've been really welcoming to make sure that the environment stayed the same as it was at the start of the season. So yeah, I think the Jed, the gaffer, has brought in lads who have just bought into what we're trying to do here, and that's all have the same aim, have the same focus, do well for this football club, and we're trying our best to keep on making the fans happy and proud.
And I know you touched on it there now, and I wasn't trying to get you to say that either was better than managing than the other, but I know Derek, after obviously Derek came on the podcast, and we've had numerous players on who played under Derek, and they all say he gave you carte blanche going forward to be yourself and show your skills. And Jed's carried on doing the same thing. So they're probably quite similar in many ways there, because we've always had that sort of attacking flair, and that suits a raiding fullback like yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah, like you say, if you've got a manager who wants you to go out and express yourself, like recently Jed's been saying, like get Joel the ball, or go out and show play, teams how good you are. It just gives me confidence to go out and perform for him, and to, like you say, like listen to what he said when he's obviously speaking highly of me when he's saying that stuff to me and giving me confidence to go out and perform on the pitch. So that can only help a person. Confidence is massive in football, and obviously the gaffer at the minute's giving it to all the players with what he's saying to them, and the team thoughts that he's giving. So it's helping each of our players.
Joel, I'll hand you over to Joel.
Yeah, just to kind of go back on the non-league stuff, really. Because you've had quite a lot of time at that kind of level. So how would you say that kind of helped develop you as quite a young player as well at the time?
Just to get as many games in as possible. Like I've probably played, I don't know, well over 200 games now, but they've not all been in the league, so people don't probably see me being that experienced. But I've played a lot of games, and it has helped me massively. My dad pushed it into me not just to go down the normal route of going to like an academy under 18s and stuff like that when I got released, just to go out and play men's football, because it helps you understand the game more, even though the level's not as good. You're still getting a reading of the game, understanding the game, playing with people who've played at a high level. So you're getting that from them. So I'd say it has helped me a lot. Yeah, it's also helped me be grateful to, like, when I went from a non-league team to a Premier League team, be grateful for how good you can have it at the top if you perform in the right way. So just little things like that, you realise when you're at that level in non-league that it's not all easy, and it just makes you want to push on to strive to do better, to perform better, to see how good you can be.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You mentioned your time at Main Road, and that's kind of ninth tier, and because I'd sometimes go and watch games at that level, West Eastbury and Chorlton and stuff. Which is we've had a player from there before, who scored a winner for us at Wembley. Just gets promoted, so it's quite it's quite a nice little full circle there. But what kind of stands out to me is obviously the quality isn't quite the technical quality isn't quite what it is at football league level, but a lot of the pace and tempo of the game seems really aggressive, and everybody's really in your face. And does that help develop you a bit as well?
Yeah, 100%. Like it just helps you. You at, like, say, at academy games, you're able to have so much time on the ball, where it's just kind of false when you go into a man's game, where like that's why I think there's a lot of players who, even if they're in an academy and then they drop to non-league, they find it hard because you don't get that time on the ball. You've not really. It's not that I don't really think it's the same game. It's kind of it's the same football match, but it's two complete different games when you've got someone always being aggressive on you, compared to when you've got so much time on the ball in academy games. That was the difference I felt. So it's only helped me really. Play like go into each game today.
Yeah, my next question was actually about that move to Burnley, but yeah, like I say, it's just kind of more time on the ball, really, isn't it? And being able to kind of, I guess, but on the flip side of that, does it make you kind of think about maybe a little bit more about your choice of pass and where exactly trying to break lines in slightly different ways and stuff?
Yeah, in terms of like my understanding of the game, obviously I've got because I've played so many games, like I do kind of understand like what I need to do in games, how to like game manage or what sort of passes to make in games. Whereas at academy level, you have kind of, obviously it's still a very good standard, and but it's a lot more technical than a game would be, say in League Two, because like some games, like you say, Sutton, where the ball's in the air a lot of the time and stuff like that, you don't have that at academy level. Like some of the academy boys, the lads we've got on loan might not have had that sort of game before, where the ball's in the air for the most of the game, and you've got to work yourself around it and try and get through games like that. That's why teams with experience do really well in this league. You've got to be hard to beat, and understanding the game is massive at this level.
So just kind of fast forwarding now to your time in the EFL. Obviously you've had that ACL injury, but I think what obviously it's a really tough injury to come back from, but especially for I think I always think as well for a fullback whose game is quite dynamic, whether it's going forward and you're trying to take on opponents, you're doing quite a lot of hard running at the wing, but the way you're taking people on, it's a lot of stop start and change direction quite a lot. And then on the flip side, when you're facing up against a winger, you need to be able to kind of pivot and turn quite quickly, obviously, because they're going to be trying to jink you the wrong way as well. What so in terms of recovering, how difficult is it to kind of get that kind of range of movement and speed of movement back into your game?
Yeah, it takes a while. Just I think it's more confidence. Like my game is obviously I'm always just in turning, and that's how I ended up getting my injury. It's a weird one because I'd had little niggles, but I'd never had a bad injury before that injury. So it was like more of a mental thing as well to overcome such a long period of time out. Like when I had my injury, it's like after my operation, I had to learn kind of how to walk again in some ways, and then you go back onto the grass, and like I was running with a limp at the start. So it all just like probably builds up in your mind that you don't realize over the year that you're injured, and a lot of things you're always worrying will it be the same and stuff like that. So I think the biggest battle is probably mentally, but then once you're out there, you kind of just forget about it. Like now, obviously I don't think about it at all. But my first game, I remember I played Doncaster away, my first game out on New Year's Day, and after 10 minutes, they were playing quite well, and I could hardly breathe just because I'd been out for that long, and like you was doing all the movements that you don't get to do in training over time, and that's why I felt like I needed a pre-season to get fully fit. Match games, just like little pre-season games where you can build your fitness, and now obviously I feel fit. I feel as good as I did before my injury. So that's I worked really hard to get back fit. So that's a massive achievement for me to feel as good as I do at the minute.
Yeah, I think another thing as well, like you lose all your muscle mass in your leg, don't you? It's just
Yeah,
gonna completely go. So trying to build
yeah,
that back up is hard work, isn't it?
yeah. It's not a nice injury that when I couldn't. I was on crutches for can't remember. Could be 3 months. So it's not a nice injury. You lose all your muscle in your leg. It's just about learning it takes a while to build your strength back up, and like I was back running on the grass after like 7 months, I was like limping, and everyone was like, "What's up with you?" I was like, and this is just me trying to run it. It's a strange feeling. So you have to get everything back. People don't realize what actually goes into an ACL rehab, because it is mentally and physically so tough. But when you come out the side, and now obviously I'm performing well and feel good in my body, so there's nothing better than knowing that I did all that hard work and it was worth it.
Yeah, and I think especially worth it because that season you've come back, it's ended with a promotion, and you kind of touched on it then, like about how experience is kind of important. It takes you a long way at this kind of level, and I think trying to think of players that you had last season. Obviously, you've had Joe Garner and Paul Huntington and people like that. So, just kind of from your experience of being in a changing room that has gotten promoted, what are the kind of other key aspects you think there are to kind of success at this level?
I think there's a lot. Like I mentioned it before. I think that the group that we had last year was so close knit. I think that helps us massively on the pitch, and we have the same this year. We really do have a good group. I've been in dressing rooms where some people don't really like each other, so that it just doesn't knit. Last year we had everyone was liked each other. We all got on so well, and we have that the same this year. So I feel like that's a massive part. Experience in games, being hard to beat is a big one, especially if you're hard to beat away from home and you don't concede many goals, then you can always nick a goal in these games. Especially in this league, we won a lot of games last year. 1-0. I think we kept 20 clean sheets last year. So that's what I've said that to the lads this year. We've got to try and get as many clean sheets as possible. It's good winning 3-2, but you can't. It's not sustainable to do that every week. So obviously, the Sutton game was, like you said, we won it 1-0. If we didn't keep that clean sheet, then you're going to draw that game, and you really miss chances. But that's another key one, being hard to beat, and just like the whole team to enjoy the football, take one game at a time, and I think it takes you a long way to being successful at this level.
And just talking of that promotion campaign, obviously you mentioned doing quite well yourself, doing quite well in the playoff campaign. So I think it's only fair to mention that first touch for the equalising goal. It's kind of just behind you, isn't it? And you kind of got to drag it round.
Yeah, I didn't even realise at the time that it was behind me. I'm kind of in full motion, and I just take my touch and cross. It was quite an instinct thing, but it was an unbelievable feeling to like a semi-assist, I'd say, in front of the Carlisle fans, and my family was all in that corner, so it was a really nice feeling. Yeah.
But yeah, so just kind of moving on this season to kind of end with, I think Freeze touched on it before, but kind of with the change in manager, is there anything that you have you kind of noticed that you're being asked to do differently?
I think this is quite similar in them ways. In the ways where they just want you to go out and express yourself. Obviously, they've got different ways of managing, but I think it's kind of the same. Really, we've got the structures are kind of the same. How we want to play, obviously, in certain games we have a different game plan than others. Like for the Sutton game, I was the gaffer made sure that I got on the ball a lot to make a 2v1 with Charlie to affect their wing back. So he did, and it obviously worked really well. But under Derek, I would have always been asked to do different things. So it's hard to say, but they've both been really good for me. And like you say, at the minute, the gaffer's giving me lots of confidence by telling me some stuff that only gives a player confidence.
And just finally, just gonna going the other way then, with opponents we face this season. I always think it's quite interesting to ask, especially for a fullback. Who do you say is the toughest player you've come up against on the wing this season?
Probably Jody Jones at Notts County. He's just got. I think that as a team, they coach really well, and that they're very fluid in the movements. And he had obviously they're a possession-based team, so he had a lot of the ball at the time. So just like being on my game all the time. Obviously, the home game I thought he was really good, could have nicked it, but the away game didn't work out because they played well and we weren't on our day. So I'd probably say him is a really good player. I know he's got a lot of assists this season. I think he's played at a much higher level as well. But he's had a few injuries and he seems to be getting back to his best, and he's a really good player.
Yeah, I think he broke the assist record for League Two a couple of games ago for the whole season, and yeah, he's done that in the start of February, which is pretty frightening. But just expanding from that quickly, would you say Notts County are the best team you faced, or is there somebody else who sticks in your mind?
I'd say so. Yeah, the three teams that I've probably found the toughest this season are Notts County, the Wrexham game, and I think MK Dons are really good team. I think the teams who play with a boxing midfield as a fullback, personally, it's quite hard they can suck you in, or when the wing backs high, you've kind of got a 2v1 if the top of the box comes over onto your side. Them three teams, I'd say, are probably the toughest that I feel that we've faced in my personal opinion. Obviously, Stockport are a very good team, but on the day it wasn't really a day for a game of football, so we didn't see it.
Well, that's actually an interesting point. Actually, what about that box midfield? Is it when teams are playing that? Is it something that you find you have to get drawn in centrally to try and help out players in the middle, or is it when that shape shifts over to the flank and you've just got like 3 or 4 players up against you?
Yeah, it's kind of you've got to kind of do two jobs in the sense of the top one who would be closest to me at the box. He's kind of hanging, he's kind of cheating in the position between me and probably, I think, Jan, who played that right centre mid. So he's kind of like dragging Jan over. But then again, if I go in too tight with him, then the left wing back's just got so much space on his side. So it's kind of like a catch-92 of which one to do. So I feel like that's a tough enough formation to play against. You've just got I think against Crawley, and against MK we switched. And in MK the first half, the second half as well, the home game, I felt like we pressed them a lot better because we went more man to man and it helped us more. So I was set focused on the wing back. But yeah, it's a tough formation to play against. But I think the past few games we played it like MK in the second half, Crawley in the second half. We've dealt with it quite well.
That's really interesting. That thanks, Joel. Yeah, back to you, Freez.
Well, we're going to finish off. We'll come to James now. A couple of things to talk about. Obviously, the first one, the Fans Forum, which is Friday the 23rd of Feb. That's been set up for quite a long time. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of questions. Usually, you can't really probably answer because obviously, if there's nothing happening, there's nothing happening. But it's a good thing to keep the fans informed, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and we got most of the board, if not all. Jed will be sitting out there as well. I think there's been 90 or so places taken so far, and no doubt there'll be a few more as well. And there's a few preset questions, and then it's just an open forum. So people should ask whatever they want to ask, and we'll answer the questions as openly, as honestly, as transparently as we possibly can. And it's a healthy thing. It's why we do this. It's why, you know, if people come up and ask questions at away and home games, I'll always try and answer them. And we want to be as transparent as we possibly can. I think there'll probably be more answers than people are expecting. Not least because we've been asked the questions about the ownership thing, and actually we've all been pretty consistent now for the last couple of months, and we're all doing everything we can to move that forward. And I'm looking forward to it. It should be really, really good. And you know, nice that it's a Friday evening before a home game as well.
Yeah, and I think, like anything, a good result at Wimbledon and a positive result at Walsall, and the questions will probably become easy to answer.
Yeah, it's always easier when you're winning.
Yeah, exactly. And then following on from that, the Trust have been involved, along with lots of fans, in the, I'm going to say, I called it a demonstration of support, which I suppose it is really, because obviously there's a frustration that not a lot of people are aware, particularly in the Northwest, that we are up for sale. It's never really touched on in the media, where other clubs seem to be able to get. I mean, Carlisle, for instance, have found owners very quickly and sold to some Americans. And we've been for sale longer than they have. But I mean, obviously, it's a different situation. Each individual football club is different. But looking at that in plain terms, the demonstration of support before the Wrexham game, I think supporters are really, really happy that they're finally going to do something, James. And I think you probably appreciate that, don't you?
Yeah, I respect that. I ultimately, you know, we live in a free country, and if people want to demonstrate, if people want to protest, if people want to just have their opinion heard, that's a right. That's what people should have. So I don't believe any human being should have an opinion on what somebody else's opinion is or how they want to express it, as long as it's not a damaging or harming one. And I think in this instance, it does sound like, and it feels like the Trust are setting this up for the right reasons, and it's very much a support one. It's very much a message to get out, and if more people take notice of it, and if that causes somebody to think, oh, hang on a minute, I've not heard that, I'll just pick up the phone and find out more about it, then all the better. And I think as well, you've got to say thanks to everybody for being so reasonable and understanding that anything that would cause any disruption would just make things difficult for everybody. And given how well the team performing, the last thing we need is anything that interrupts that. So yeah, I can say I respect it, and it sounds like it's been done with good intentions. And the very fact that it's more a demonstration of support and you know, come and take an interest in Morecambe Football Club, and you know, maybe this is the one for you. I don't think that does any harm at all. But
no, I agree completely, and I think you know that the fans have been, you know, there has been times where they've been shall we say, threatening militancy, which I do understand. But you know, when the board came out a few weeks ago, and I think it was Charlie who finally said it and went, look, you know, we want Jason out, Jason wants out, the fans want out, and that stuck with everybody. And as soon as that came out, it was like, oh, hang on a minute here. And I think that's when there was a little bit of sway, and it was like, well, hang on, if he wants out, let's try and advertise the fact that he wants out. And I think that's what this march is going to be about. You know, because obviously yourself and all the other directors, we know you're working hard behind the scenes, but you know, just hurry up and find somebody. If we can help, we will.
Yeah, and
So-
you know, the other lovely thing that at the moment, and this has been true now for years, it's been true about Morecambe for probably forever, is that everybody cares about the club and works together, and everybody who cares about the club is aligned, and there's a nice coalition of people who, whether they work for the club, whether they're volunteers, whether they're fans, whether they're on the board, whether they're you know, behind the scenes, like everybody really does work together. There is a real genuine consensus, and that's a nice thing. So yeah, like I say, respect people's opinions. Look forward to us all moving forward together on the other side with a new owner at the right point. Just going to make it happen.
Anything else from you, James, or do I move on to the trust?
I think move on to the trust. Over to you, Joel.
So, Joel, presumably you've got a million questions you're going to ask at the fans forum.
Yeah. No, hopefully, if I can get up to Morecambe in time after work. But yeah, just with the trust stuff, really, it's kind of same as what you've already touched on with the organisation being kind of well underway for that kind of demonstration. There's been kind of quite positive conversations with the police, just to make sure it's all kind of squared with them and it's all going to be safe. And you know, like you've kind of alluded to already, it's not really much of a militant action, and we you know, we're looking to do it in a way that tries to catch the eye, but ultimately, is it going to disrupt things on the pitch in a way that would be detrimental to the club? Because that's not going to help anybody in this situation. So yeah, it seems to be coming together really nice, positively. And any more updates, you know, we'll keep people up to date on social media and everything.
Well, that just about wraps up this edition of ShrimpNet. My thanks to Joel as usual and James for coming on. And the first timer, Joel Senior. Would you come on again, or was that too horrible for you?
No, that was all, but I enjoyed it, so thanks for having me. Yeah.
Oh, you can back. Oh, you can. Don't come on here saying you've enjoyed it. You'll be giving us a bad reputation. You're supposed to go back to the dressing room and say, no, don't go on there. They're all idiots. No, don't go on. No. The ones that we've had Stuart Moore on twice, and we've had Faz on twice, and you won't be surprised to learn that Faz's have been the longest ones we've done because he never shuts up.
He doesn't stop talking, does he? Who do you want on next? I'll make sure I get him on.
Literally, any, and I say this to Matt. I say, if you can get any idiot, I mean, any player, that'd be great. We're very grateful for anybody who'll come on. It just gives the fans an insight into a little bit of background about you, and also, you know, keeps them up to date with what's going on and off the pitch. So we do thank you for doing this, and hopefully we'll be chatting to you before. Well, I won't say Wembley. I say it might be automatics yet. You never know. I'm on drugs.
Fingers crossed.
This has been ShrimpNet. Thanks for listening. Join us again next week when we shall dissect the tremendous performances at Plough Lane, New Plough Lane, and the Bescot. See you then.